Welcome to the Siljander Podcast, where you will find actionable tips, tricks, and strategies for the millennials. In this show, we will dive into content that will teach you how to live with more ease, confidence, and authenticity. Here we will start with a foundation of compassion for ourselves, and then spread that compassion to others. We believe that this chain of acceptance and fortitude can radically change our families, communities, and beyond. And I am your host, Laura Siljander, yoga teacher, mental health coach, outdoor enthusiast, and lover of red wine. So grab your headphones and get ready to learn, grow, and to be inspired to live a life filled with intention and wellness. If you like the show, follow me on Instagram at practice_compassion, or check out my website, laurasiljander.com. I am so glad you are here, and I hope you enjoy the show. Greetings, my earthlings. If you hear rumbling in the background, that is because there is a humongous storm. So I'm sorry if it gets a little loud. I will try to edit it out the best I very can. But usually I come to these podcasts with a clear view. I have sometimes notes and extensive notes outlined so I don't miss anything, so I can give you so much bang for your buck and not waste your time. I do not want to waste your time. It's valuable, it's precious, and you never get it back. But for some reason, I'm feeling really inclined this morning to come to you with something that's been on my mind lately that I haven't really thought through 100%, but it's really just consuming me. So if it's consuming me, perhaps it's consuming you as well, or maybe you've never even thought about this. I'm talking so cryptically. Let me explain. I just want to be really honest with you. I've been thinking a lot about how different life could be or would be if we just lived, looked, ate, weighed, worked, played, just existed, if we didn't feel this need or this undercurrent of influence. Influences of our friends, family, faith systems, our Instagram, our favorite shows. And if you're saying to yourself, I'm not influenced by that stuff, no friggin' way, well, let me tell you, we see about 4,000 to 5,000 advertisements a day. A day, that's thousands. How are you not influenced by that? So I guess I really invite you to look into that a little bit deeper if you're saying, I'm not influenced by that stuff. Because I know it's cliche, but they say that the friends you keep around you, you start to act and be like. We are influence creatures. We are wired for connection. We have something in our brain called mirror neurons, and we mirror activities going around in front of us. That's how we evolve and grow. That's why you see babies trying to talk, because they're trying to speak like us. They see our lips move and they want it to happen. So how can we say we're not influenced by all this stuff? I'm just wondering, what would you be like if we didn't have all those influences, for better or for worse? How would you play? How would you work? How would you speak? What would you look like? What would you wear? But then if you think about all of the polarization that's going on right now, especially politically, and I'm not going to get into it, but just how we feel like left and right, conservative, not conservative, Trump, no Trump, and just how polarizing that can be. And if you're not into politics, think about something else. I mean, even sports fans are polarized. And I'm just wondering why we are so afraid of someone or something that's so different from us. And I'm guilty of this too. Just the other day, I'm not a huge gun person, and someone was walking down my street with an NRA shirt, and I was like, ooh, and I got a little bit nervous. And I went, you need to cut the crap. They're just different from you. Don't be scared. Don't be fearful. They're just trying to live authentically, just like you. They're just like you. They just have different views, and that's okay. And that got me to thinking how I like to embrace my weirdness. You like to embrace your weird quirks. We all are kind of quirky and weird. And when we see someone who's quirky and weird and we don't know what's going on, we get fearful. And then we're like, oh, no, I don't want anything to do with that person, right? I mean, just think about it. Has there ever been someone at the grocery store that they look weird to you and you're like, oh, But why? Why do we do that? Why? They're not hurting us. They're not doing anything. They're just living and they're trying to live authentically. What's really cool is y'all know that I teach in the yoga studies minor at the University of North Carolina at Wilmington, and I'm teaching my students about the 8 limbs of yoga. I won't go into it, but there's something called satya, and that's truthfulness. That's living a truthful life, and that's living in your truth. And it's really easy to live in your truth when you're around people who are encouraging you. Let's say you're a Christian and you go to your Christian church. It's easy to be a Christian there because everyone else is a Christian. They embrace you. It's all good. But what if you didn't want to be a Christian anymore? That's when you live in your truth. Even when it makes you want to shake in your shoes, that's living in your truth. Even when people don't agree with you, and that's scary. When your friends and your family, they don't agree with what you're doing, that's a really scary thought, to not be encouraged to live authentically. So then we start living our life for what? For who? For other people? To be accepted? To blend in? If you don't really relate with that example, can you imagine the first yoga class you walked into if you've ever practiced yoga, or the first spin class you walked into? You walk in and you see all these people in tight clothes, contorting their bodies or pushing their heart rates to the max, and you're like, oh my gosh, what have I done? Do I belong here? And I feel like sometimes we're walking around our lives like that. What am I doing? Do I belong here? And how can I wear those tight clothes and get my heart rate up or my sweat on so I can fit into this group? And I'm guilty of this too. So again, it makes me think about what would life be like if we actually lived the way that really felt true and authentic to us, free from ties of influence and trying to fit in. It's a big concept. It's a macro concept. And if you're a micro, like detail-oriented person, this is probably just too big of an idea, and that's totally fine. But even on a small, everyday basis, why is your hair color the way it is? Is it because that's the way you want it to be? Or is it because you saw this chica at a music festival and she looked amazing and you wanted to look like her? It's just an example. I know in my friend group, I always like to stand out a little bit. I never quite like to fit in. Maybe it's because I'm the middle child. But maybe that's more you. Maybe you're like, no, I don't want to fit in. I want to stand out. I like to be weird. It doesn't bother me. Well, I'm with you. I'm super weird. If you know me and if you've been listening to me, I feel like if you've listened from the first podcast to now, my weirdness just keeps coming out and flowing. But you're here, so you must have a little bit of weirdness inside of you too. But then we get called weird, which is not a bad thing. I kind of want to own that. I honestly identify with being a misfit. I'm a millennial misfit. I sort of fit into some of it, but a lot of it, not really. I mean, I'm not really friends with a lot of people who are trendy and cool. I'm friends with people who are a little bit odd, who bring a really weird ideas to me and concepts to me, and they just don't think like I don't even know what a normal person is, but they just think outside the box. And so if you're already in this misfit category, I feel like perhaps you may be judging people who are just going on with the normal day-to-day trying to fit in. So how do we just stop this judgy, I'm right and you're wrong? And how do we just all live authentically and true, but again, embrace the weirdness, especially if it's not hurting anybody? Well, no, definitely if it's not hurting anybody. I don't condone hurting people or things. But if someone has bright purple hair and they're wearing a wild outfit, why do we shun that? Why do I shun the NRA? Why? Because it's different. I just wonder what that would be like. So my band of millennial misfits, or if you're not a millennial and you're listening to this, odds are you're a little strange and you are a misfit. I have a challenge for you, and I'm going to be doing it too. The next time I look at someone, the next time I think that I'm getting a little bit judgy or I get fearful because they're different from me, catch yourself. I'm not saying you're bad, you're naughty, you're horrible, but catch yourself. And then why? Why are you doing that? Why does this make you uncomfortable? Why do you fear this just because they're different? Why? Now, if they're doing something super naughty and harmful, well then, okay, yes. But if it's just something super simple, just catch yourself. And then maybe if you need a follow-up on what to do, embrace them. And I'm not saying go give them a hug and be like, you're amazing. I mean, you can do that. But in your mind, just, I accept you for the way you are. I truly believe that people can pick up on energy if they're open to it. I mean, imagine you're in a bedroom and there's just you in there and it's kind of cold. Well, if you pack that bedroom with 20 people in, it starts to heat up because our core temperature. I truly believe that it's more than just words that we use to communicate with one another. Our bodies, our energy, what we're putting out there is picked up. So imagine if you walked around and just embraced people internally and accepted them just for the way that they are. Oh, they are doing something really different, and that's bold and beautiful and cool. Go girl or boy. Just an idea, just a challenge. I'm going to try it out. I'm going to let you know how it goes. And bringing it full circle, I feel like this is completely practicing compassion on an everyday basis. You know, that's my jam. I like to practice that compassion with myself and with other people. This is totally doing that. This is an activity to practice that compassion. Embrace someone's weirdness when you feel yourself thinking, that's strange, or I don't like that, or they look weird to me. Practice that compassion. If you accept my challenge, I would love to hear from you. Reach out. You know how to do it and where to go to get my attention. I'd love to hear from you. And y'all, good luck. Godspeed. Let's do this. I'll talk to you next week, my Misfit friends. Thank you for tuning in. Share it with a friend. Pretty please, that does mean a lot to me. Thank you so much.